I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am here. My name is Travis Snail. Yeah, we are. Yeah, I was gonna introduce you, but I'm here, Travis Snail, the Dark Knight himself.
Joined by Robin Hood, Dylan Musk.
Very nice, very nice. So
I don't know any of his other names, so
that's Boy Wonder.
Boy Wonder, Dylan Musk.
The Boy Wonder. Yeah, so as you may have guessed by the title when you clicked on this or by our intros, this is all about Batman. And what we're doing is, for the next, I guess, 8 to 9 weeks in between now and Batman vs. Superman, we're reviewing every Batman movie that is that came out in the theater. I know there's many animated movies, but that's another day. That'll be another time. Yeah. Get these like main ones done, and every week I'm going to be sitting down with lots of members of GeekVerse, other people, and just talking Batman and talking the movies. We sit down, we make some notes, and yeah, we just talk about them. I'm a huge Batman fan. Batman's my favorite fictional character of all time, so like I'm a big Batman nut.
Wearing Batman shirt.
Yeah, I'm wearing Batman shirt right now, yeah. And now this is what I kind of do with some people, like, I do this with people that haven't never been on the cast before, or we're talking about a topic we've never talked before. So this was your first Batman movie, you think? Have you seen like little bits?
Yeah, it's my first full like from start to finish. I don't know what it is about Batman.
By the way, we're obviously you know by the title, but we just watched Batman 66. That's what we're doing now. We're starting off with the original classic in a loose term. Like it's, but yeah. So this was the first.
Yeah, I've never. I don't know why I've never really just sat down and watched a Batman movie. I guess he's never just been a hero that I've been fond of, but obviously just becoming friends with you over the last year, so my interest has peaked, so I guess I'm starting from the very beginning watching the first Batman movie.
Yeah, and like I feel unfortunate in starting you in that way, because it's like you start off with this, but like I did preference down like this is not like what that Batman's supposed to be.
You can tell from like the first like 5 minutes that it's very different from what the Batman movies are these days.
Yeah,
just
like,
in terms of like tone and themes.
Like
and
even
like
just
that.
the trailer we were talking about that we were watching Batman 66. Like even just the trailer of the new ones look nothing like this.
Oh, yeah.
But and this like legitimately, we'll see what happens. We're gonna talk about this. Legitimately, will probably be I think the shortest one out of all these reviews, because it's like. It's hard to talk about it because I don't feel like we can review.
I feel like there's not a lot of depth to it.
No, not at all. And that's what I mean. Like I feel like in whether we've reviewed other movies, whether they're old or like when we did like Star Wars stuff like that, we can get in depth about like acting and character and choices the director made and this and that. But it's like this feels very much. It feels very much a product of its time, but it's just kind of like, and that's why I think it's worth watching though, because I like watching. This is not more of a review of. I think, was the movie good or bad? I think it's more a review of like how far Batman and even just the superhero genre has come. Excuse me, from '66. Obviously, it's a lot different, but like it's. I don't know. Like I couldn't say this is an awful movie because it was made in a time.
It was entertaining.
Yeah,
it's an entertaining movie for sure.
Yeah, like it's entertaining in like obviously two ways. I think in a way of like. In a cheesy way, in a way of like the bat or the shark, biting him, the shark repellent, stuff like that. Like you got the dehydrator, all that stuff. Yeah. Like nowadays, it's super cheesy, but like it's funny. There's some movies I feel like it. I guess it just shows that I don't think it was an awful movie. It's just a product of time because we still watched it, and I'm still. It did feel like it maybe went on a bit long, but not because it was bad, just because it's just kind of like. Just kind of cheesy Batman. Like what do you think it's still like an enjoyable movie to watch right now? If someone's gonna watch this, like, would you still say, oh yeah, you should still watch it, or would you say, stay away?
I would say watch this movie with like some friends or something, and just make fun of it as it's going along. Yeah, and like just say like, oh, that's funny. Look at that. Yeah. Look at the little joke. Like just that shark scene. Like I don't know. I wouldn't recommend watching it on
all
your
the
own.
Labels.
That's pretty much all I have to say.
Yeah, well, that's what happened. Like there's some of these movies that we like when we're doing the Batman retrospective that we will be watching alone and then meeting up, and then sometimes we'll watch them together and whatnot. But this is one that I was talking with Dylan, and I'm like, I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna ask Dylan to do the first thing I've seen Batman, so do the first one, and then. Hang on, I'm gonna pause it. Okay. But yeah, no, I was thinking we're doing reviews of some people watching them separately, then coming together, and then we're going to watch them as a group, some ones. But with this one, I was thinking, like, I was going to talk to Dylan about, like, watching this with me, and, like, in the next class to see, like, Liam watch Batman on his own, and then we meet up together and whatnot, and talked about it. And I was like, I don't know if I can get Dylan to watch this, like, alone, and people, especially with being your first Batman, like, it's one of these things of, like, I think unless you're a hardcore Batman fan and you want to see, like, the history of Batman, like, I would not recommend watching it alone.
Well, even for this one, you said that it's not really that closely related to the comic book.
No,
even, right?
not at all.
It's kind of like their own take on the character.
Yeah, like,
or I guess because it kind of went with the TV show at the time too.
Yeah, so it's like it's not anything that I'd say like, well, watch this and this is Batman. So I think I'd agree of like watch it with a group of friends. It's still fun. And like I say, if you're a big Batman fan, also you could still watch. Like I would watch this by myself, but I'd still rather watch it with you or a friend or with my girlfriend. Like I don't know how much I would watch just like alone. Mm-hmm. Like, and I guess it's a film that I'd love to show like when I have kids one day, show it to them because I think it's like a good little like stepping stone. Like it's nothing too much, but like yeah, like it's a good movie. I'm just trying to think of like the way like to talk about this and because with other ones we've talked about like, doing good stuff and bad stuff. Like with good stuff, I don't know. Like I said, it was entertaining. It had humor. I'll throw it out right there. Is at the beginning. I said this during the movie. The one thing I say holds up. The only reason it's kind of weird because it's in a Batman movie. I think the best sequence of the whole movie is with the bomb. I like when the bomb's about to go off and he's running and there's like, oh, there's this guy and the bar's full and then there's a nun and then there's a baby and there's the band and then there's like there's a couple making out and then there's the nun and there's the baby and the band again. Yeah. Like and then you got the classic like sometimes you just can't get rid of a bomb and I like to me that still hold up. Like that was to me intentionally funny and it worked as being funny. You know like. I really like that. It would have been better if it was in a different movie. Obviously, that was like no Batman, but like I liked that. Like it's
funny.
Yeah, like
it's not taking itself too seriously.
No,
and you can tell that they weren't taking themselves too seriously.
No, not at all. Especially back then. Like, but yeah, like is there anything you wanted to say specifically that stood out as a good thing, just a standout good thing?
Well, I actually think his name's Adam West, right?
Yeah,
the guy who plays Batman.
Yeah.
I thought he did pretty good.
Yeah, you showed that.
We were mentioning that like he has the facial structure, and I just thought he played it pretty well, even if it's different than like what Batman is nowadays and like the voice and all that stuff. But I don't know. I thought that part was good.
Yeah,
and then I actually like the combination of like the villains all hanging out and stuff. I mean, it was super cheesy, but it was pretty funny. I like the Riddler. I thought he was just his facial expressions. I don't know.
Oh, good. Yeah. Like that's the thing. I think with this movie, you gotta almost have it on like what they say with like rainbow tinted glasses. Like you need to look at it as not a Batman movie, just a like not even cheese. Like it is cheesy now, but back then, just like. I think we've already said probably over time, but almost just like a superhero movie back then. Like I said, like it's weird. Like if you're talking about a Batman movie, yeah, it's a bad Batman movie. But as a movie, like it was still enjoyable. You get some laughs between just everything being labeled and them having like they have like
the Bat Ladder.
Yeah, they have a Bat Ladder. They call it the Bat Ladder, and then when it comes down, there's like it says Bat Ladder on the actual thing. Like not needed at all.
And
like,
they have like their little symbols on everything.
Oh yeah,
like their tiny little binoculars. And there's like the Riddler symbol.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I was just gonna mention like everything is like it's so like their own merchandise.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of funny that way, but like I'm trying to think. Like I'm trying to think. There's somewhere I even know I want to start, but it's just. Yeah, I guess it is a good movie for its time, but it's just so. I don't know. It's just I almost think of it like this unique. It's just on this island of its own, and I guess it's different. That's why I guess I'd love to sit down with people from that generation, not the people that worked on it, but people that watched it and how they felt about it back then and whatnot. Like nowadays, this movie and the TV show gets a lot of jokes, but I don't feel like it should because it's what was going on back then. Like I wouldn't expect them to make super dark, like gritty Batman.
No,
you know?
It probably wouldn't have been successful. It probably would.
No,
people wouldn't understood it. You know, that's kind of like you were saying. Like this is the first superhero movie, right?
Yeah, in a way. I think so. I think there was maybe one like black and white Superman, but like of big note. This was like the first big one.
Yeah,
yeah.
And so I think that is just kind of like what it was seen at the time, like superheroes. Yeah. Maybe it was just like a cheesy, like how we talk about the fight scene at the end with like the pow and the kerplop and like those
splat or
like whatnot. The explosions on the submarine when they're shooting the rockets at it, and it's just like I don't know. It's just that's what it was supposed to be. It was.
Yeah, it's. It's. I don't know if this will be that long of a cast to be honest.
Well, it's hard to review something like this, right?
Yeah, like it's like what, like okay, let's look at this. We'll put on our review cap and do the whole way. So, what did you think about the story? Let's do this, even if this only takes 5 to 10 minutes. What did you think about the story? How do we start out? First, we start off with him going to that boat, and the boat disappears. What did you think when the boat disappears? What was going through your mind?
Actually, well, when that first happened, I was kind of confused if that was just like a weird film transition.
Like bad editing?
Yeah, like bad editing, pretty much. Like, I couldn't tell if, like... I actually asked you later, I was like, so did the boat just disappear? You're like, yeah, it did. I was like, oh, okay.
Because I thought the same thing when I saw this. I was younger when I saw this, but even then I was like... vanishes. Yeah, I'm like... It was like... Because if something vanishes in these movies nowadays, like, there's going to be a big deal or something, it's just kind of like the boat's there, and then all of a sudden it, like... And it doesn't even do, like, it, like, kind of fades away, you know?
Yeah, like, it wasn't too obvious, and it was... Later in the movie, too, there was, like, just some transition that we thought the DVD skipped for a second. Like, it's just, like, little things like that. You can't really tell.
Oh, I can't remember when it was.
Like, it was at the boat. It's like, did that just disappear, or is this another shot now? Like,
yeah. Like, in the middle of the movie, like, Batman and Robin are talking, and then it goes to a shot of, like, a Batcave door. And it sits there for, like, maybe a good 2 to 5 seconds. And I'm like, oh, DVD maybe just skipped. Like, I have the DVD, and my dad bought it from, like, 10 years ago. So I'm like, oh, maybe some wear and tear on it. And then no, Alfred just walks right out fine. So it's like, once again, like, things for its time, where it's definitely like, I've always said that, what was it? Oh, between that, and we said this too, it reminds, like, me of early James Bond. I really, really want to one day as a filmmaker make, like, an old-time movie like that, but not even set like that, just like a movie about, like, current stuff now, but cut in that way, and, like, this type of, like, really bad, like, editing and whatnot, but do that on purpose, because, like, it's kind of, it almost adds to it, you know, like, it'd be weird if this whole movie was, like, about these kind of cheesy characters, but it was, like, flawlessly shot and whatnot, like, the boat disappearing this kind of, like, way of, like, did it really disappoint, or, like it kind of adds to the humor of the movie, or just, like, the mystique of it,
and
so.
That's, like, just, like, the way, they, like, the dialogue in the movie, too, like, they kind of acknowledge that, they're, like, they talk about how the boat just vanishes, and so, like, they have to mention it, and there was another point where, like, something... kind of confusing happened, so they explained it. What was it again?
It was when they were trying to figure out who the villains were, and they're like, "Oh, are you sure?"
No, I'm thinking about. Okay, yeah, I remember.
Oh no,
it's when they dehydrated the guys.
Penguin throws all the henchmen, and they go to attack. Yeah,
and so the henchmen, what's his name, Penguin brings them back, and then for some reason, as soon as they go to fight, they just vanish as soon as they get hit by anything. And so Batman and Robin are explaining for like 2 minutes straight, like, the science behind why this happened.
Well, Penguin is just off in the corner. Yeah. Like, which was kind of weird, because they kind of show Penguin like he looks like he's going to get away.
Yeah.
And then he's just he's just sitting on the ladder. But, like, you think this whole time, like, why don't you get Penguin and then describe this? But like you said, it's purely, like, exposition just to tell us, like, oh, this is what's happening in the movie.
It's just like obvious. Exposition, like, it's really funny.
Oh yeah, it's all like it's there to make sure that you know, because you know they don't have the technology to really explain it. You know, it's like, like, I'm trying to think of just the whole story. Like, what, they go on the boat disappears. They figure out that all the 4 villains are working together. The first plan was the octopus bomb plan. Of their big plan, like, their big plan later on was revealed that they're going to dehydrate pretty much the UN leaders. They don't say, what do they call them?
The World
Center leaders or something. Like, they just don't say UN for some reason.
All the leaders of the world, they're just in a room bickering for the whole movie.
Yeah, so I guess we'll explain this for anybody that hasn't seen the movie. I would still recommend watching the movie and then listening to this, but if you haven't, so the villains, like, bust out of jail all off scene. It's not like great films today. You're not going to see a really, like, clever Toy Story 3 breakout scene. Like,
the villains were not clever.
No, and my favorite thing we point out is that all the, like, the mugshots of them, they're all in, like, a kitchen, or there's, like, chairs behind them. Like, they don't have actual mugshots of, like, the villains. They're, like, doing a pose. It's pretty funny, but, like, so they break out. The dynamic duo figures out that all 4 of them working together, and then their first plan is, because this is me trying to break down the story like we would do in any other review. Their plan is what? They're going to kidnap a millionaire who just happens they're going to kidnap Bruce Wayne. And they're going to have Catwoman and her, like, Russian reporter.
Kafka.
Kitka.
Kitka.
I can't remember her whole name, but yeah, it was Kitka, and then Bruce Wayne in a date, which you'll find happens in a lot of these Batman reviews, and at one date falls madly in love with Kit Kat, Kitka. And then what was their plan? Their plan was to have Bruce Wayne captured, and then Batman was going to come there and spring on Joker's Jack in the Box all the way into Penguin's exploding octopus. And how do you feel that is a trap? Do you feel like maybe just shooting Batman would work easier? Because I feel like that's a really elaborate trap. They gotta Catwoman has to go undercover, kidnap Bruce Wayne, leave a riddle for Batman. Batman has to get there, has to step on this octopus, has to step on
this very specific, yeah.
And then fly out the window to the octopus. How do you feel that's a plan?
Well, clearly you can see in the movie that it didn't work very well because one henchman just like fell over or something. Landed on
Bruce Wayne punched him and I think he like stumbled and then
got launched out the window.
Or a dummy got launched
into the octopus bomb. Yeah, the dummy.
The clearly dummy.
Oh, the other scene with like them on their umbrella rockets.
Oh yeah,
such a.
That's the thing, folks. In this movie, they have umbrellas that go on rockets. Like, and that's why I feel like. See, when we talk about again, if you haven't seen the movie or listening to this, like, I feel like that's why you do need to watch it because it is like funny and comedic in that way that they have those kind of like. It is like overly comic.
You're not going to see umbrella rocket ships
in the next Batman vs Superman. If you do,
you're not going to see it anywhere.
If you do, yeah. If Batman fights Penguin in Batman vs Superman with umbrella rockets, me and Dill will retire from the GeekVerse cast. We will leave and you'll never hear from us again. But that's how confident I am that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Watch the opening scene. It'll be like him taking down the Penguin. I'll be like, oh damn. But and then so that plan doesn't work. And what was their second plan? Penguin was going to go in the Bat Cave and release the dehydrated soldiers.
Yeah, and then we talked about how that didn't work so well.
Yeah, for the people that, like I said, didn't see the movie, they have this gun that's a dehydrator, and it just puts people down into, like, little balls of, like, dust, kind of.
It turns them into dust.
Yeah.
And then they use a dustpan to scoop them up and put them in little test tubes.
And if you notice, point this out if you watch the movie, Penguin's like, safely. Like, Catwoman, you have to get... that's the thing, with the dust, you got to get every single particle in the tube, or it's not going to work. That's what they say. So Penguin at one point says to Catwoman, like, make sure you do this safely. And she's pouring it all over. Like
she's missing a good half of the dust.
yeah, like the person's going to come back and be, like, missing, like, arms and fingers. Like
that's the thing where I, like, wonder why didn't they, like, reshoot that kind of thing? But they just didn't do that.
Or just not even say, be careful. Just have them do that. And then not even explain you need every particle, right? Like, they go out of their way to specifically say you need every part of the particle. So make sure, and then she just, spills it all over. And like you said, that's an easy scene. I don't feel, there's some shots where I feel like, okay, especially, even nowadays, there's some shots in movies where it's like you get one take, like lots of times when they do big explosions, you get one take because it costs so much money. I feel her pouring dust into like a cylinder or colander, you could have done that more.
Easily,
Especially it's not even like cut differently where Penguin's in a different scene saying, be careful, and then they move over, they pan over to Catwoman, and then she's doing it. They're right beside each other and he's saying be careful. Like it's just like a little thing, and that's just the stuff of like the 60s, like that era. Like it's just stuff they just throw aside.
And that's the kind of thing where it goes back to like you should watch this with someone else just to make fun of little things like that. And then we talked about how the guy who plays the Joker was like a very famous actor at the time, and he was very well known for his mustache, and so he didn't want to shave it off for the movie, so you can see like when it's zoomed in enough that they just like put the
makeup
over his mustache, and
it's distracting in a way because I feel like I didn't know that until I think a while back ago they did like a TV special, like a documentary, and then like same thing. I'd seen the episodes a few times. I think I've seen all the TV episodes once. I've said to you like we were talking off cast, but it's the same thing. You don't really notice it until they zoom in, and then once you notice it, it's always there. It's very distracting. It's very funny. But and then from there, what was their second? The second plan was for Penguin to get in the Batcave. So we used the dehydrator gun to release goons, and then to just I guess kill Batman and Robin. That doesn't work because when they punch them, they just evaporate and go into nowhere. And then
so they capture Penguin, and they're driving him somewhere.
Oh, this is when they had their master plan.
Yeah, this is the master plan. So me
and Dylan didn't think it was going to work out.
They're driving out in who knows where.
Yeah.
And then their car, the Batmobile, breaks down.
Yeah, technical difficulties.
And then Penguin's umbrella now has like magical knockout gas or something. That only works for about 5 seconds, but that's all he needs.
No, because I think they did do that because remember before that happens, Batman says, "Here, Robin, take this pill." So I think he gave him something to detract the thing of like you'd fall asleep for only a little bit. So I think
Batman's a mastermind.
He is the world's greatest detective. Yeah. So I think because I remember he said, "What's that?" Like have this pill. And I'm like, why is he giving him pills? Like, is this some weird like backstory we don't know? Like he's just he's medicating this boy on the side. Like so that I think that was actually explained for once. They said that, and then so he puts him to sleep. And then their master plan was to track the Batmobile because he stole it and track it to the evil lair. And then from there...
And then, of course, they had their motorbike 10 feet off scene.
Yeah. Literally, like, on spot. And it was just covered by fake, like, dandelions and green
ghillie
stuff.
suit, yeah.
Yeah, like that's all it was, and just like anybody could come by. Imagine if there was a car accident, they crash into this what they think is a bush, they swerve to the side, and then like no, it's the bat cycle, like. And then they get the classic part I like is they go and get the to the Batcopter again, and there's that guy I pointed this out with the jumpsuit, and he has like the Bat logos on his front and back. But like, what is he doing the whole day? Like, I guess he just does repairs on Batman's stuff. Like, yeah. And then from there,
another funny thing about that is like because their Bat cycle has like the little side cockpit thing for Robin. Yeah. And right when they get there, they like break off. I don't know if you noticed that. Like, he's split off just so they could go on opposite sides of the Batcopter. It's like, that seemed a little unnecessary.
That's totally like 60s, like, this would be cool, like, do this, like, that's totally that. And then, so while they're flying to get the bad guys, this is when the bad guys dehydrate all the world leaders. Yep. And their plan is to hold each country up for $1 million. Mm-hmm. I love it because watching it at this point, it's like that whole... Austin Powers when he like wakes up from like the thing and he's like $1 million, and like everyone laughs at him like you want just $1 million, and like that's not a lot of money. Like it would be a lot of it wouldn't be a lot of money because they're splitting it 4 ways. Yeah, they get $1 million from each country. They're splitting it 4 ways. It's not like maybe obviously back then lots of money, but now when you watch
we talk about the budget of the movie as well. Like
budget was they could have made the movie. The movie for this was $1.5 million. Because what made us ask that?
Well, we were talking about they had like a bat boat. They had the Batmobile. They had like a lot of different things.
And it looks cheesy, but it still is
the Batcopter.
Yeah, it looks cheesy, but it's still stuff you gotta pay for, right? It's not just especially back then. Like to me, I feel like nowadays movies should be cheaper than not, but I feel like it's a lot easier to make that stuff. Or back then, even though I guess the Batboat you just had to do a spray job, but it's like you're still. I guess they just rent a boat, but still you can't just rent a boat, spray, and then like bring it back. Like here you go. Like they would have had to buy that.
It's a nice boat.
Yeah. So and then at that point they capture all the world leaders. Yep. They hold them up for money, and then the end is Batman and Robin. Of course, they find a lair. There's a big fight. Submarine fight. Yeah.
A submarine that you can tell is. Not actually a submarine.
Yeah, you can tell if you look in the background, you can see like the sky. It has like ripples and like walling and whatnot. We laughed at that. That was pretty funny. And then you got your classic like the boom pow and everything. Then there's this really long scene that I pointed out was way too long. Batman goes after Catwoman, which I think we said Catwoman was undercover as Kitka. And he doesn't punch her. She trips and her mask falls off. And he has this thing of like he realizes that it's Kitka, which you should have anyways. Yeah. Before we get to that, I want to shout out Alfred when he was in the Batmobile.
Alfred's costume.
At one point, he had to drive the Batmobile with Robin when they were undercover following like Batman and Bruce Wayne and everything. Alfred's undercover thing is he's wearing his exact same butler suit, but he just has a mask. And then
small black mask. And then he has his glasses over top. And he has one-of-a-kind glasses. You will never see glasses in the world similar to these ones. So it's like, I wonder who that is.
This is Alfred, for sure. You know? Like, and that's what it does make me laugh every time when they have like that little press junket of like, we never reveal our identities. Yeah. It's like, Batman maybe, but you're clearly Dick Grayson. Like, look at your hair. Yeah, like, once again, 60s. But
smallest mask,
So that led into Batman had no idea Catwoman was Kitka.
I feel like... kind of off topic a little bit, but like in The Incredibles, I feel like they kind of like make fun of that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they kind of do a little in the Watchmen comics too. Like there's some place that do. So Catwoman's mask falls off. He knows it's Kitka. And then they play like the Italian music that when I'm not sure if we clarified if you didn't watch the movie. At one point, Bruce Wayne is undercover with Catwoman, who's also undercover, and they're on this date in this Italian restaurant, and like Bruce Wayne's totally falling in love, and there's like they're dancing and whatnot. So when he sees Catwoman's face with the mask off, he has this, not in a flashback, he just like looks up, he stares up, and he's just like having thought bubbles of like, obviously he's like lost this girl he loved, even though he had one date. Yeah. He lost this girl he loved, and they're just playing this Italian music, but it goes on for a good, like, it's not even like a 10-second, like, I feel
it was just a zoom in on his face.
Yeah, right? And he's not even moving, and like, I guess they are trying to portray that he's really hurt, and he's torn by this, but like, it went on way too long, 30 seconds, and then Robin's just kind of like, oh, I'm sorry, Batman. But, like, I just wanted to point that out, because I was just like, man, this is going on way too long.
There's definitely a few, like, moments of spacing where it's like, why is this, like...
Yeah. I feel like the amount of times they shot that submarine with the rocket at one point, they're shooting a rocket, like... The amount of times they shoot it, plus the amount of times they go in a circle, too many. Like, I felt like they were going in a circle for, like, 10 minutes.
Yeah, and when there's a few instances, and, like, that was one of them where they used the same shot over and over. Like, when they shoot a rocket, and then also, like, when they were doing that big loop with the boat.
Same shot.
It's the same shot, and so... it's pretty obvious to us that it's like the same shot. So it's just funny that they do.
And that makes it longer. If it was different shots, I feel like it would have been like, okay, this is going on for a while, but because it's the same shot over and over, you're like, okay, like let's move along, and then after that, of course, they get all the bad guys, they get all the vials of the UN leaders, and they have this. Probably, I didn't even remember this. I actually remember this quite a bit. I think I watched it a lot because my dad bought it for me because 10 years ago I would have been 12. So he bought it then, and I probably watched it a few times. I loved Batman when I was a kid. I've said this many times. Batman was legitimately my first word as a child. So I remembered everything. What I did not remember is, so Robin and Batman are in their Batcave / lab, and they just happen to have like the rehydrate or whatever. So their plan is to bring back all the UN leaders are in the dust, and their plan is to bring them back. Now, what's happening is they go to each country of the world, and like millions of people are just standing around like Times Square, this and that, and they're all like what they do in war movies, like waiting to see the results and whatnot. Obviously, this is something they did not film. They just took clips of history and whatnot. Yeah. And then, of course, Batman and Robin are successful in bringing the UN leaders back, and then everyone's cheering. Like that for me stuck out the most of like being a 60s movie. If nothing else did, which a lot of stuff did, but that was purely like really 60s movies. Like movies still do that today, but that was just so. Anytime there was a shot of that or a rocket, it was something like clearly they had not filmed. Yeah, and it just stands out
the Polaris
so much.
Missile. Yeah, that they used at least 5 times probably.
Yeah, for Riddler's riddles, which we said are great. Riddler literally has a rocket that shoots out and spells not even like kind of like cloud dust of riddle, like full on clouds, like perfect spelling. What were some of his riddles? What was like the machine gun? Oh,
I don't even remember.
They were so bad. There was one like what goes up white and comes down yellow and white, and then they're like an egg, and like they're just so like they're really bad. And not even then. Like at one point they're trying to figure out who the villains are, and they're like, oh, and this thing took place by the sea. C as in Catwoman, and it's like. I guess, but like C is not spelled with a C. Like it's just they would take liberties with what like I feel like a riddle actually is. Yeah. Like it's like or they're very easy, and then at that point, the movie just ends with Batman. They try and make I feel like they try and make this theme like some really heavy emotion. I can't even remember what he says at the end, but he seems like he's trying to say something like heartfelt of like maybe like this like the meeting of the minds. I don't know, but they had this. He had this like kind of like. Mini monologue, which like truthfully I'm sorry as a reviewer, but I kind of tuned out. I was at the point where like it didn't feel like it went on too long, but it was near the end it was starting to it went on 10 minutes longer.
Some of it dragged on, you know. Yeah, like also that scene when they're bringing back all the world leaders and they're like they set up all the test tubes all over the place and they're pouring the water and like that scene as well, like, it just... Yeah. I mean, obviously they're trying to build suspense, but it was just like, come on.
Yeah, especially nowadays it doesn't. Like, I feel like it was just enough for me, like, alright, but if the movie went on, like, even maybe 5 minutes more, I would have been at that point, like, okay, like, you beat the bad guys, like, everything, like... And then they climb down the window, and then you got the Batman theme, and that's about it, and that's the story. And then, like, I guess what we usually do in another review, we go and we talk about the cast. So, like, we'll start Batman. We already saw Batman. Like, we're gonna, like...
Yeah. I mean... Yeah, you have to look at it as a different type of Batman, right? Because if you look at, like, even though I haven't seen the Dark Knight movies, you know, you have that voice and you have the dark tones to the movie. And obviously this is just like a cheesy, old school superhero movie. Yeah. So he definitely fits the part for that.
And that's what I was going to say. Like, I feel like we won't go down the cast each one because there's not much to talk about. But, like, I feel like all of them are perfect in their roles for what this is. Like, you think about Batman, even Robin for, like, the boy wonder, like...
Yeah, I didn't think anyone, like, stood out as...
Yeah,
okay, except for, actually, the only two, like... there's this one scene where Batman and Robin are with, like, those two older gentlemen, and they're, like, discussing...
Commissioner Gordon, and then... I can't remember who the other guy is.
I thought those guys were just, like...
They were pretty bad.
Yeah,
I'll agree that. They stand out a lot.
Those are the only two guys where I was picked, like... Where I actually like had to where I was nitpicking like acting. I was like, these guys aren't that good.
But
other than that, like I felt like, you know, obviously the Riddler and like Joker, like they're all super cheesy, but I thought they did it well. You know,
it does well for what they're
because it wasn't meant to be serious.
Yeah, it's not like they went. It's not like if you put like that Joker in one of these movies, you'd be like, oh, this really stands out. Yeah. But like for what is all like for what they were doing back then, I feel like they're all perfect from the main cast, from Batman and Robin, then all the villains. Like, I feel like the Penguin, like is perfect. I feel like Catwoman's perfect. Like Riddler, yeah, like he's really funny, and Joker is great. Like he's doing his whole like clowny thing. Like I feel like for what it is, they're all great, and like that's what I think I pointed out at the beginning. But it's like one of these things. Like this movie does obviously it gets a lot of jokes, and I think it's warranted because of the time. But it's like you can't. That's why I couldn't say this is a bad movie, because I feel like this would have been a good movie in its time. Like, if this was the only Batman movie back then, and even if you had read some comics,
there was a lot going on in this movie. They had a lot of different plans.
Yeah, and it felt like a big movie. Scenes, between, like, to me, that climax of them fighting on the submarine is, like, that to me was a big thing for back then. Like, obviously, yeah, you got, like, the fake Skyrider.
That was, like, the equivalent of, like, a big fight scene,
Yeah, like, and to me, and you had lots of those, like, with the boat disappearing, and you had, and even back then, yeah, it was cheesy, but the shark attacking Batman, like, that's a big thing. Like, that's why I feel like I could, like, this movie, for me, like, and I guess coming up here soon, we'll try and give, like, an official, like, rating, but, like, for me, I can't say it's, like, a bad movie, because you go on what you're, like, if you know what you're going into expecting... I feel knowing that it's a different time and being cheesy. And like we kind of said, I feel like you should watch this movie not as a movie, but just as almost like an examination of what, not only what 66 was, but what comic books and that type was viewed back then, and just see how far it's changed. And like, it's a good evolution movie. I feel like exactly what we're doing right here, when we're doing a Batman retrospective, and if you really want to get a gist of watching all the movies and seeing how Batman's changed over years, I feel like this is kind of a must-watch in a way, you know? Like, and that's it's strange to say, but I feel like you should. So, like you said, you should know, like, just what it was like back then, you know, and like what their idea of it was. And like I said, I don't think it's a bad film, because it'd be different if they, like you said, those two guys do stand out, but like with Joker and everything, they don't stand out. They feel like they fit that world, and they feel like. Like, yeah, I think I
feel like there's just, like, such a... Like, just the tone is so different that you really don't even try to make comparisons to, like, what a Batman movie is now. Or, like, the characters,
There's no way.
You're not comparing this Batman to The Dark Knight.
No, not at all. I kind of just compare it to, like... Truthfully, I just compare it to, like, itself and, like, maybe other movies at that time. Like, there's not much you can do, and that's why I think I look at this more... If you're still on the fence, if you haven't watched it... I'd say I would like I said. I'd say
get a group of friends
and watch it. Yeah,
joke around and have a great time.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're gonna get a couple laughs, like intentionally, unintentionally. Like I said, even just for that bomb scene, to me that I intentionally got laughs at. You know, like and truthfully, I did like the scenes of like. There's the parts when Batman and Kit Kat are on a date, and like Robin and Alfred are keep like, oh, we shouldn't be watching this and whatnot. Like that's kind of funny. Like there's still stuff. I still think it holds up as much as it could in this day and age. Like I feel like exactly what it is. It was a good popcorn movie for back then. That is still a fun watch with friends, or even just a fun. If you want to watch it alone, you can. We're not saying you don't have to, but we're saying it would be better with friends. But you could watch it alone. I feel like you would need to. It's not that long. Like I said, and you said too, it does feel like it drags a little bit near the end of like, okay, like you beat the bad guys, just bring them back.
I think you could watch it alone after you maybe listened to like just this podcast here and just like understood like what you're getting into,
the content of how you should watch.
You definitely need some
and that's the same way why like, and especially like I imagine most people listen have either seen this or they want to, or they're big fans of Batman. But that's the same reason why I said if you are just getting into Batman like Dylan, there's lots of people that are just getting into comics and comic book movies. That's the thing of like, I wouldn't have got him to watch this alone. I wouldn't say like, here, watch this and like, let's review it. Like it's better. It is more of an experience to watch alone. And I know you do that a lot with bad movies, but like same thing. I wouldn't call this a bad movie. I just call it like a product of its time. And it's very much that. Sure. So I think of
thinking about rating?
I think I would give it like 6 bats out of 10 because I don't think it's a fail. I think because that's a C. Yeah, I think so because we'll get into later on a couple of reviews. There's a movie later on that I will be giving below 5. I've not rewatched it. It's Batman and Robin's a very bad movie. Batman fans know what I'm talking about. And to me, that gets a lower rating because it's a movie that was made in like 1998.
Maybe it was trying to be more serious, but it just...
Yeah, and it had the benefit of like, hey, we've seen it done right or seen it done better. And that's why to me, this does get, to me, a pass and like not a pun intended, but like a pass as far as a grade, and just a pass as far as like this was the times and this is what it was like. Where there's other Batman movies coming up, just one in particular that's really bad. It's like you don't get a pass because this was in a day and age where there's movies like The Matrix happened a few years later, and there's movies like Pulp Fiction that existed. You know, like you don't get a pass for that. That's to me, that's why if anyone's like, why? How could you pass this movie and then fail another one later? Because they had more of the tools. I feel like with what they had and with the tone and the writing, they did the best they could. Like
they had a sick Batcopter and Batmobile.
Yeah, the Batmobile is still sick. I would still drive. Like I would have that as a car. I don't drive, but if I did and it was allowed, I'd say, here, give me that.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
So I think I'd give it 6 bats out of 10 as far as like fair. I don't think it's 50%. I think it's more because I got enjoyable. It's funny, but like I don't know if it can be higher than a C at this time. You know, like it's.
Let's see. I'll give it a 5.7 bat ladders out of 10.
5.7 bat ladders out of 10. Why the 0.7?
I don't know. No. I feel like
do you mark? You should give it. You should give it 0.8 because you can say that you knocked the 2 off because those 2 bad actors.
Yes. Okay. I'll give it a
5.8 because
5.8 bat ladders out of 10. It's a movie that like. I can't see myself rewatching this in like any time in the near future.
No.
To be honest with you, but I still enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an entertaining movie.
Yeah. And that's basically it. Like, that's the same thing. Like, I would say, yeah, like, this is not, like, I promise you, the next Batman cast are going to be a lot longer, like, because there's more meat to get into. Yeah. They're more, like, adapting the comic books or trying different things. This is a pretty clear cut. It's a bunch of bad guys versus Batman and Robin. It's the 60s. And it's fun. Like,
it's a shallow movie.
But, yeah, and that's the same thing. I don't feel like I need to watch it again anytime soon, but it's, like, in a couple years or 5 years, if I had a group of friends like, hey, you want to watch Batman 66? And I'm like, oh no, I'd be like, yeah, sure. If you had a group of friends, like, I think it's fun. It'd be good. Like, it'd almost be good. I don't drink, but I feel like this would almost be a great drinking movie for any time they say bat something. You know?
Yeah, well, I mean,
like this could be a great almost.
This
party
is like
game.
This is what I was just thinking. Like sometimes when we are hanging out at your house, we like just put on like Goosebumps and just watch that. And it's like it's just like
something in the background.
Something you don't need to pay attention to, but you can, and it's funny.
Yeah,
be like it's great in that scenario.
And I could see this at like if you had a bunch of friends over for a birthday, I could see this being on the background. Yeah. You know, like like I think it has its place in its like allure. So don't crap on it as much for people that do like crap on it. Like, oh, screw Batman 68. It's a very important part. Like without this, we don't get to this, Genesis. And we don't get to this exactly. Like. It's the beginning of something, and it's something that, for the beginning, it's not that terrible for if you watch it with the right eyes. So, but yeah, that is our very first review on the Batman ones. I guess, do you want to play the role of Taylor?
Sure. So, you can find us on the internets by going to google.com and searching facebook.com, logging in, searching the GeekVerse podcast. You can find us, hit like, that'll really help us out. And you can keep track of all of the greatest news in the geek world and find all these future Batman casts that we are going to do.
Exactly, yeah. Same thing at GeekVerse Cast. Follow us there so I can beat Taylor.
On Twitter.
On Twitter, yes, sorry. I'm at 91 followers at the time of this recording. Me and Taylor have always had a bet to see who would get to 100 first. I'm 9 away. Help me out. Just give me a couple.
Taylor is a nice guy. Please help him out.
Yeah, him too, but like help me first. Get him to 100 after me. But yeah, and then SoundCloud for just if you want to listen regularly, or for Android users, iTunes. Please rate and subscribe. We've gotten some reviews there, which is good. We always want that. We always want feedback. Please subscribe because we legitimately have a lot, and I mean a lot of specials coming out in the next couple months. Because like,
a lot of big plans. Yeah.
That's going to be coming up from now. Like this is when this stuff's hidden. We got like E3 and Con-Con on the horizons in a few months. Like. But yeah, for Batman Cast, for Dynamic Duo, for Anime Repeat, you're going to be on in a couple weeks. We've recorded that episode. It's a fun episode. What do we talk about?
I don't know. Stuff.
Oh, I can't remember. There's some good stuff. We always talk about some good stuff. And then, just subscribe, please, because it's one of these things of if you like us, you're going to want these specials, because we don't do specials just to throw them out there. We do them because we think they could be quality, they could be fun.
Yeah.
I feel like this would be probably the hardest special I've ever done, because it was like, how do I talk about Batman 66? But most specials, like, we're pretty prepared. Like, even this, I had a notepad of like, okay, like, good stuff and bad stuff. And I wrote down a few things, but I'm like, what's good? Like, what can I talk about?
Yeah.
But, and then this is probably the longest outro we've ever done. And then, thank you for listening. And
#Save Hannibal.
#Save Hannibal. And, thank you for listening. Maybe this is probably your day, night, weekend, year, whenever you're listening to this. And have a good one.